Okay, now the spine line, which is also called the headline, reveals the health of your spine, and it'll show if you have problems with vertebrae or discs in your back. It will show if they are subluxated, and what this means is they're turned out of place or they could be damaged, or you could have a condition such as scoliosis or a twisting of the spine. It starts right there between the thumb and index finger, or the Jupiter finger, and travels across the palm just under the Mercury finger. Now pull up your spine chart. It's called the Chart of Effects of Spinal Misalignment, and that section underneath the index finger, if you're on your spine line underneath the Jupiter finger, that represents your cervical spine, kind of that neck area, that 1C to 7C, and it goes down to what's called the Dowager's hump. This is the hump that you see in older folks when they're walking around and they're kind of bent over there at the neck, just under the bottom of the neck and the top of the back. That's where your cervical spine is. Then the area just underneath that Saturn or that middle finger is your thoracic spine. This is your 1T down to your 12T. That's the back that goes all the way down to your waist. Then there's that area underneath the sun finger or the ring finger, and that's your lumbar area. This is 1L to 5L. This is kind of your waist and your hips. Then of course you go down to your sacrum and your coccyx to the tailbone, which is underneath that little or that Mercury finger. Let me tell you a little bit about, Kat has a master's degree in health education, and when she was going to college she was developing her craft in hand analysis, and she came across a book from a longtime doctor, Dr. Eugene Scheinman, and he talked about how your spinal health absolutely shows in your hands, and working with Kat over the years it's proven to be very real and accurate. And I always get a little chuckle when I hear back on some of the past clients that have taken their charts to their chiropractor or their physical therapist and having an evaluation, and the medical care provider was amazed how spot on the charts were. Okay, let's look at your chart. If you look over there on the left hand side of your chart, you'll see an image of a spine. Okay, we're going to start at the very top part of that spine. You can see where that 1C all the way down to that 7C. Looks like you're out of place or you've got some vertebrae that are misaligned. Let's see. Oh, you didn't say if you had any damage there in your spine or not. But then that 3T all the way down to the 8T, that's kind of right there in the middle part of your upper back. And then you've got 12T and that 1L, that lumbar region, where you can be turned out of place. And if you look over to the right, you'll see the areas column. This shows you the parts of the body and internal organs and extremities that are affected when you're turned out of place or when you have issues with that spine. Of course, the effects all the way over to the right will show you what kind of symptoms you can have. And although in that heart line, we don't see, generally we'd see that 2T out of place, and it doesn't look like yours is, but that 3T is. So there's a little stress on those lungs, and your breathing in particular, and that can put a little bit of stress on that heart. Then where we'd seen in that headline, depression marking, when that 1C's out, well, that really can exacerbate depression, especially when that and that 7C is out also. That can get anxiety fired up. So you can look around on the effects here and see if you have any of those other symptoms. And I'll tell you when we see this, what we usually suggest is to get into a good chiropractor, or even better yet, a good physical therapist, and see if they can't get that spine realigned, get that energy flowing correctly, 100% down through there, especially where you have that 1C and 2C out of place. And we actually see this, looks like you were in IT at one time. I mean, you probably worked on computers a lot. We have a lot of problems since the advent of that computer with people bending over at the neck. We've seen this a lot in the past few decades. But if you can, find somebody that knows craniosacral work. A lot of times they'll go into the roof of the mouth and they'll adjust those little plates in there. And that gives them better access to that 1C, 2C vertebrae. We find a lot of times that when people get those realigned, that they just have a lot more energy, a lot more ambition, and they just feel a lot better during the day. So that's something to consider. And I've seen many of Kat's clients and people she's done readings for, they'll take these charts down and show it to their doctors, and it's kind of a funny story how people will come back and their doctors are just amazed how accurate these spine charts are. Now you also have a health line that correlates with the head and spine line, and this line represents your general health. It starts at the bottom, kind of center of the palm, and it rises up towards that Mercury or that little finger, and it stops at the head and spine line. And it should be a nice straight line without breaks or islands. This shows the health of your gut, like your stomach, your intestines, gallbladder, and the internal organs, and really more specifically your digestive system. If that line looks healthy, your general health is usually pretty good. Now as we take a look at your health line actually travels pretty straight up there towards that pinky finger, that Mercury finger, but then it has a little jitter there and has kind of an overlap line. That can indicate a little bit of stress on those internal organs, on that digestive system specifically. But we'd kind of seen that in that spine line. Once you get that straightened out, get that energy flowing correctly, you're going to find that these lines actually clean up pretty good.